African countries, and there was a time it had too much water hyacinth, and also issues of pollution within the lake basin. That is what we need to address right now. And joining me live from Kisumu is Victoria Adwet. Victoria is the speaker and also from Kisumu Youth Wash Project. Victoria, welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. When we talk about incentivizing this fight against pollution within the lake basin, why is it important now?
Thank you, Mike. As you've said, my name is Victoria Adwet. I'm the speaker to the Kisumu Youth Wash Parliament. Now, Kisumu Youth Wash Parliament is a youth-led organization in Kisumu County that empowers young people to be at the forefront when it comes to water sanitation and hygiene matters. Now, on to the question you've asked me as to why incentivizing is important. I'd like to start from the Constitution of Kenya, Article 43, that talks about every Kenyan has a right, to sustainable access to clean and safe water in adequate quantities. Yet you find the clean and safe is at the limelight, because when we get our water polluted, then we are sure of the water not being safe, the water not being clean. So addressing pollution in all the regions, not only the lake region, is very important. But now in the context of the lake region, I'd also take us to probably the institutions such as WRA that was established with the Water Act. You find that they are responsible for ensuring that our water resources are well managed, but you find that pollution is still an issue that we need to address. A good example is now in this particular region. Why do we need to incentivize? We have a very nice freshwater lake here, yet pollution keeps on jeopardizing, access to clean water by the community. And incentivizing makes us to move away from ensuring that incentivizing makes people to comply, and that one makes it easier to manage the pollution rather than enforce.
Indeed.
Thank you.
And also, you're big on protecting or safeguarding water bodies and access to protection of water sources within the lake basin. What drives that?
Thank you so much. I would say, as Kisumu Youth Wash Parliament, I would start by talking about an activity we conducted recently, funded by the Catchment to Tap project by Worldwide Fund. The Kisumu Youth Wash Parliament recently collected data on the status of integrated water resource management in Kisumu County. We wanted to find out, what are people doing about our water resources? Are they polluted? Are we protecting them? Are we ensuring that there is recharge in the water sources? And the findings were very interesting, because you find we abstract, but we are not keen on how there is recharge. And this report is yet to be released, but you find some of the recommendation was that any infrastructure or funding that goes towards infrastructure for WASH, a percentage should go back to catchment protection. A percentage should go back to ensuring that our water resources are actually well managed and taken care of. So what drives us, number one, as Kisumu Youth Wash Parliament, is you find that we are located here. As Victoria Adwet, I have been in this county since I was born, and I have seen, the clean shorelines moving to plastic polluted shorelines. I have seen fishermen, coming with big, after fishing, they're coming back with a lot of fish. And currently that is not the case. So this matter, when you're talking about pollution, it is not only an environmental matter, but it is something that puts justice it's something that puts the community at risk because we depend on the fresh water. So I think that is the first thing that actually motivates us to do what we do. We found that there is a gap that we can fill. There is a space whereby we young people can actually fill to ensure that, one, the water resources are well taken care of, well managed, and two, to ensure that policies speak to protection. As I said, compliance rather than enforcement.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We are also joined by Gunnar Fjordhøj, who is the chair and initiator of Lake Victoria Great Initiative. He joins us live from Norway. Good morning, Gunnar.
See you, but yes.
Yeah, and now we are talking about incentivizing the fight against pollution within the lake basin. And I will throw the same question I threw to Victoria to you. Why is it important now?
My focus is basically this problem with the water hyacinth, which occurred in Lake Victoria from the 60s and 70s and exploded from the 80s and 90s. And still have a great negative impact on the life in the lake. And that will continue as long as we don't get control over the water hyacinth. The water hyacinth don't belong to Africa, don't belong to Asia. It came to Africa in the 1840s and now is spread all over the continent. It's have a credible growth rate. And it's killing the life as we know it, and it destroys the fishery. Take Lake Tana in Ethiopia. The fishery there is already collapsed because of this plant.
Yeah, and speaking of hyacinth, it has rocked Lake Victoria for years and, as you've said, affecting the life within that region. So how would you rate the efforts to deal with it so far?
You know, when I started to read about this, I understand that there is a lot of science and a lot of research done about this plant. And it's and there has been a lot of initiative taken during the years to erase the plant or to stop the spread of the plant, but the most of them has failed. And important reason for this is because I think it is impossible to erase. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that it's very difficult to make money out of this plant. But at the same time, if we don't do anything, the fish will die and the life in the lakes and the rivers will be destroyed as we know it today. So the best we can hope is to control it. And maybe the only way to control it is to mobilize and motivate the people who are living around the lake to harvest it and process it. It is possible to make suitable products out of this plant, but that is not to say that you can make a good business out of it.
Then, out of it, what do you think can solve this problem, Mr. Gunnar, from your perspective? Because you're saying it may not be possible to erase it completely, but what can be done to solve this problem?
Yes, the system me and my team is trying to build up, because the team I've gathered, we have skills in making bioethanol out of the plant, making fertilizer, making animal feed. You can also make furniture and a lot of other things. But since this has a, let's say, a kind of limitless growth, we are talking about 8% growth per day. We are talking about millions and millions and millions of tons every year, which is growing in Lake Victoria. So to control it also must figure out what kind of products there is a limitless need for, and that is products like animal feed, it's products like clean energy, bioethanol or charcoal or biogas, and it's of course fertilizer, which there is an incredible great need for, especially in arid zones, but actually all places where you have crops, you will need fertilizer, and this is organic fertilizer. What is especially dangerous with this plant is that maybe not when it's on the surface. Many people are saying, no, it's not a big problem, you don't see so much of it, but what's happening is that there is a balance between how much it's growing and how much it's sinking to the bottom. So I have calculated that there is 40, 50, 60 million tons of water hyacinth which are sinking to the bottom of Lake Victoria every year, and on the bottom it starts an anaerobe putrefaction. It's producing methane, take away all the oxygen. The breeding places will be destroyed. The fish escape, and often the fish is dying. So, but also because of this biomass which are sinking to the bottom, also the bottom of the lake is building, coming up. It's we are talking about a half meter, 1 meter, 1.5, and 2 meter with sediments which has been built up the last 40, 50 years. So slowly, the lake will be a sump, and in the swallow areas there is already starting this process. So again, how to deal with it? As people already is doing, some places they are collecting water hyacinth and making fertilizer, other places they are making bioethanol or charcoal. Also many places around Vietnam Gulf they are making handicraft. But unfortunately this is too little, and hopefully not too late, because all these people, they are collecting the water hyacinth only outside their own doorstep. But there is huge areas that no one is collecting water hyacinth, and also where there is dangerous to collect water hyacinth. And that's why I'm saying that also the government, the counties, NGOs must enter the scene and being a part of organizing these to huge harvesting, a lot of harvesting, and process the plant and make suitable products out of it, like fertilizer, animal feed, energy, which there is a limitless need for. Yes.
Indeed. And also, Victoria, you know, the issue of water hyacinth has been there for quite a long time, and also couple that with industrial pollution, it just exacerbates the problem. Now, at the community level, looking at the community involvement, what practical incentives can help motivate local communities to effectively participate in the exercise of the cleanup of the lake?
The most important is that
I think community should be at the center of what we are doing. You find that when we are coming up with incentives, community should be at the center of the kind of incentives we are talking about. And for sustainability purposes, the incentives, one, should promote livelihood. You find that when we are telling the community members, you know what, don't plant near these water sources, you give them an alternative. And the alternative could be other sources of livelihoods. That makes the community, number one, it promotes sustainability, and there is the involvement of the community. Also, a way of involving the community is institutionalizing these incentives in the local systems, whereby community members know that by doing this, then automatically I get to gain this. A third way of incentivizing the community is ensuring that we create we promote green skills or green jobs and social enterprises, because we want the community to be at the center of the actions that we are taking, because the pollution problem should start from the community. Therefore, my thoughts are that community should be involved, be it in public participation. Communities should be involved when we are coming up with these policies and laws, so that it speaks to or it answers to their needs at local level. Also, you've talked about the industries. You know, community waste is more anthropogenic, but when we are talking about big organizations, they are the main polluters, releasing chemical waste, releasing effluent that is actually the main polluters of our water resources. Now, how can we incentivize them? You find that probably we create some subsidy for these organizations, because that is where the problem is, if you asked me.
But then again, Victoria, does it mean that without incentivization, these companies cannot, or these industries cannot take the responsibility of ensuring that there is no pollution from their side?
Not really. They ought to. All this while they know so well that they should comply, but has that been the case? Incentivizing simply means that, you know, you are showing some form of benefit. Somebody gets to gain something, and that promotes compliance. That is a better way, as opposed to enforcing, as opposed to telling the companies to close down, because we would go into other logistics, like people are being employed in this organization. So how do we ensure that they comply? We should strive towards, you know what, preventive rather than curative. Preventing the pollution before it takes place, rather than waiting for the pollution to take place. Then now we are looking for solutions to cure. So incentivizing only brings about the benefit, the value that they get to enjoy when they comply, and that is a better way of reducing pollution in our water sources.
Indeed. We are going to take a very short break. This conversation continues after this short break. Stay with us.
Usemaji wa uongo ni jambo ambalo limepigwa vita katika Uislamu, ila kuna mambo ambayo yanaweza kupelekea kuweza kuficha ukweli.
Maisha yake Nabii Ibrahim alilazimika kuficha ukweli mara kadhaa kutokana na sababu tofauti, zikiwemo pale Nabii Ibrahim alipoficha ukweli baada ya kuvunja masanamu yote yaliyokuwa yakiabudiwa.
Kwa hivyo hili ni jambo ambalo kwamba kila Muislamu lazima afahamu malengo mahsusi aliyoletewa hapa duniani, huwa si lingine isipokuwa ni kumwabudu Mola wake.
Ni mwaliko wa kuishi kwa unyenyekevu, matumaini na moyo wa shukrani, kila siku, kila saa, kila pumzi.
La ilaha illa
right, welcome back. We are talking about incentivizing the fight against pollution within the Lake Basin. And Gunnar, you know, this problem of water hyacinth has persisted for a long time. And what do you think, or how can the solutions be financed to ensure that this problem is mitigated?
It's not up to me to find out, but I think that it's basically this problem must be addressed to the authorities, to the counties, to the government in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and other countries where they have to be done some act. I'm using a metaphor. In Norway, we have a lot of snow in the winter, and this costs us some billions every year to remove. And if we don't remove it, the society stops. We have to remove it, and it costs always 100%, and there is no income. If we look at this water hyacinth, it will also cost 100% to remove it. But if we make different kind of products out of this, maybe we will cover 10%, 30%, 40%, maybe 50, 60, 70% of the cost. So, but I have a problem to see that it can be business out of removing the water hyacinth. So there will always be a gap. Let's say 30% or 40% of the cost will not be covered by the income. But on the other side, if it gives people work, it will do the health to the people better. The fisheries will not collapse. Only income from the fisheries in Lake Victoria, the worth of the fisheries is $600-700 million each year. If this is collapsing, who shall pay for that? If we deliver good food fodder to the market, then the yield of the milk will not go down as much as it do now in the dry periods. The same with the meat. Yes. So that's the gap. If we manage to harvest, give thousands and thousands of people work with this, process it, give clean energy, fertilizer, so the agriculture will be boosted. That is society economy. And what this will give back to the society, it's difficult to count. So that's why I'm saying that, yes, it costs something to harvest, but it gives back directly to the people who are working with it, the people in the local communities, and it will also help the economy and the people health and make better livelihoods. I 100% agree with Victoria, which is also talking about the same things, that this must gain the people around the lake. And of course, she's talking about the pollution. Water hyacinth is another kind of pollution that people like Victoria and our initiative, we should put our forces together and work together on these things, because if we don't stop the pollution, the lake will also die from the pollution, not only because of the water hyacinth.
Indeed. Victoria, you know, how can you say the youth have been involved in the efforts to avert cases of pollution to Lake Victoria?
Pardon? You have to repeat.
Thank you.
This addressed to Victoria. Victoria, if you can hear me.
Hear your question.
Youth. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, the youth. How have they been involved in these efforts?
All right. Youth have been involved, yes, but there is still much that needs to be done when it comes to youth involvement. Because when you're talking about youth involvement, it shouldn't be to tick a box. When we are talking about public participation, whereby you get to hear, you get to take what the youth have to say about how the pollution or the waste should be managed, then we still have a gap there. There is that need for meaningful youth engagement when we are talking about pollution in this lake region. And meaningful youth engagement starts with the policies. Are youth part and parcel of these conversations? Are their opinions, are their recommendations being considered when we are coming up with the policies and regulations? It's not only the youth, but also the community. There is need for that collective approach whereby everybody is part and parcel of this communication if we want to get it right. Secondly, youth in Kisumu are doing wonderful things when it comes to probably waste management. Let me give that as an example. You find that we have youth who are in the, I know of one organization that deals with organic waste, they are creating fertilizers. I know of another youth group that is dealing with collecting the waste and segregating the waste. So one incentive, if you ask me, would be having these champions. It does not necessarily have to be monetary. You find that if we could even recognize an organization like Kisumu Youth Wash Parliament is big on ensuring that our water resources are actually not being polluted and that the community embraces the importance of these resources. If we had even a monetary form of incentives whereby there is the recognition, there is capacity building, there is skilling, this would also encourage other youth groups. It would encourage other young people to be part and parcel of taking care of these water resources, because this is a collective responsibility. It is not a one-man kind of responsibility.
Indeed. And Mr. Gunnar, when it comes to industrial responsibilities in matters to do with averting cases of pollution within the lake basin, and as Victoria has put it, would it be prudent to formulate a rewarding system where the environmentally responsible companies are recognized, and will that create a healthy competition in matters to do with environmental conservation, especially within this region?
I'm not sure if I understand your question.
I'm asking if let's say, for instance, companies that comply with matters to do with cleaner environment within the lake basin and recognizing these efforts, would that create healthy competition to ensure that efforts of maintaining a cleaner Lake Victoria create a better competition within the lake basin?
I'm not sure if I understand what you're asking about. Competition about what?
Efforts of, Victoria is saying incentivizing as opposed to enforcing would work better. Now, for industries within the lake basin region, recognition of their efforts in reducing pollution to Lake Victoria, would that create a healthy competition amongst the companies that are within that area in their efforts to conserve the environment?
But I know there is a lot of pollution from industry and agriculture and from people and in Lake Victoria, and I know that this also have you can say a positive effect of increasing the growth of water hyacinth, and it's also a threat against the life in Lake Victoria. But I have not gone deep into this question, but I know that if we start up and scale up the work with water hyacinth, then it will be also natural to look at all the other resources for pollution or for killing the life in Lake Victoria. But I'm not the right person to address these questions. I want to say a little bit more about my team and what we're actually doing. Because let's say one of the partners is East Africa. It's a company located in Kisumu. They are making 1,500 and 2,000 liter bioethanol every day. In Asembo Bay, we have a local community called Dalarieko. They have used water hyacinth and make their own fertilizer now in 15, 16 years. And it involved 15,000 peoples, and they are making 3 and 4 crops per year and are no more afraid of hunger. We have a person like Patrick Odiambo, who have been working with water hyacinth in 30 years, and now he's recently been in Ethiopia and learning people to how they make briquettes out of water hyacinth. He's ready to do a great job in Lake Victoria, but what we have in common, that is we have no one of us are investors. We need support, and we need financial support to start up this necessary work in much bigger scale than what now private people are doing around the lake. And when we start up, then of course it will be natural for me to also cooperate with organizations like the organization Victoria is leader for, and see how we can make synergies out of these things. Thank you.
Victoria, is there a way that you are engaging the county government within that area to ensure that your efforts of reducing pollution within that area are boosted?
Some of us has been in contact with leadership in counties, but actually,
specifically the Department of Water, Sanitation and Hygiene.
Yes. Yeah, continue, Victoria, continue.
All right. I was saying we are working hand in hand with the government because when we are talking about management of these water resources, when we are talking about water within the county government within the county of Kisumu, then we cannot negate the importance of the county government of Kisumu. And we are specifically working with the Department of Water, and it has been very vital because whenever we are having this public engagement, whenever we require the goodwill of the county government, when we are coming up with our activities, when we are having this awareness creation, when we are going for the cleanups, when we had the journey of water, the county government is part and parcel of what we are doing because they are mandated to ensure that, people are living in a conducive manner. Water is available to the community. And also, speaking of the government, the water service provider, which water is it providing? It is water from the lake and river Kibos. So there is need for this water to actually be in good condition because the more polluted the water, the more difficult it is to treat and for the community to use. So we are working hand in hand with these institutions to ensure that the community is involved and the youth are part and parcel of ensuring that we are reducing pollution within the lake basin.
Mr. Gunnar, as the chair and initiator of Lake Victoria Green Initiative, how have you been working with the communities around to ensure that your efforts also are boosted?
Well, we have been in contact with some community leaders, but I feel it's even if we get in contact with them, they are interested in what we are doing. They think we are doing a good work, a great work, but no one has until now said that this is something we want to try to finance, help you with, find a place where we can have our base or help us with equipment or help us with search for funds or have their own funds. Unfortunately, too often I feel that governmental people, they expect that we shall come with the money or have the investors' money, but we haven't these investors' money, and I don't think it's easy to get investors to come with money on this because they don't see any profit in it. This isn't a profit. This is social economy. This is society economy, and it's a question about rescue a lake which has great importance for the livelihood and also for the local economy and for the feeding the people. And that's what we are risking here. We have no action. No action is the same as the lake will die after 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years. And not die like really dying, but dying like, let's say the fisheries goes from 500,000 tons every year to 200,000 tons or 100,000 tons. The governmental people must look to what the science is saying about this and what's happening in other lakes. Also, let's say Lake Baringo in Kenya, which has more than half of the fisheries has disappeared. As I said earlier, Lake Tana in Ethiopia, the fisheries collapsed for 3, 4, 5 years ago, and we see the same pattern every places where this plant is growing and taking over the lakes and the rivers. It's dying from the top. These big pads is stealing oxygen, and the fish can have not lived under these pads. And it's dying from the bottom, where there is putrefaction and producing methane. So that's what we have. My initiative, we show that this is possible. We are doing things which are doing in other countries or are already doing around Lake Venum and in Lake Victoria. But this must be scaled up 1,000-folds and 10,000-folds. And for doing that, we need financial support. And I think it's only the government who can go in front of manage and fix that. We cannot do that because there is no profit in it. It's only good politics for the people.
All right. Victoria, looking at policy and governance issues surrounding this issue, what do you think are the gaps that are existing, and how best can they be addressed to ensure that we mitigate cases of pollution within the lake basin?
Thank you. Talking of policies, I would start with the water regulations, water resources regulations. Recently, there were some new regulations that came into being, but do we understand them? Do we know what is inside? Because things to do with probably affluent discharge is embedded in these policies. And that is one of the roles that we are filling in as Kisumu Youth Watch Parliament. We are breaking down some of these complex policies for the community, for the local man to understand what it entails, what the government expects of us, what is our role in ensuring that our water sources are not polluted. So ensuring that we understand what is in the policies, then we would be able to identify the gaps and how to fill in those gaps. Secondly, as Kisumu Youth Watch Parliament, through an organization known as KWASNet, we have gone through a social accountability training. And in turn, we are sharing the same with the community, whereby how can the community hold duty bearers accountable when it comes to protecting these water resources, you know, through things like social audits, so that the community can actually be part and parcel and question. They do not have to go to the county whenever they see probably a company that is nearby releasing untreated effluent in our water resources. So giving the people the power is my solution, whereby the people understand the role they need to play. They understand that this ought not to be. This is the procedure to be followed. So through social accountability, we young people are actually taking a hold of what needs to be done and ensuring that it is being done. Thank you.
Mr. Ghana, if we are to infuse incentives fully, how do we measure the effectiveness of these incentives in matters that we are talking about, incentive-driven programs that are meant to mitigate the problem of pollution within Lake Victoria? Mr. Guna?
Asking me?
Yes. I'm asking if you're talking about the incentives-driven programs, how do we measure the metrics, or what is the metric of measuring their effectiveness in a bid to ensure that we mitigate the problem of pollution within Lake Victoria?
Again, I'm first of all dealing with the water hyacinth, but let me. I have just been 2 weeks in Kisumu and Winam Golf and visiting Homa Bay, Kendu Bay, Dunga Bay, and discussed this with many people. And only in Winam Golf there is approximately 300 places where is landing places for fish. Many of these landing places is more or less destroyed of water hyacinth, and many fishermen are suffering because there is not so much fish, and they have problem to take the boats out and in from the landing sites. Every such place has an organization called BMU, Beach Management Unit, and we met 3 of them, and we are saying that we want to clean the beaches. We want to start intensively harvesting water hyacinth. We want to have processing this offshore, onshore, of course, and some can be processed and used at the site. Other things we want to bring to a bigger processing place for making animal feed or bioethanol or something like that. And everyone is saying you are highly welcome, because this initiative can create works. It can restore the breeding places and the fishing places, and it can bring life to half-dying local societies. The incentive is, of course, they can have a richer life, but it's also it bring money to the people who are among the poorest people in Kenya. And it will, and then I can just repeat what I said. It gives work, it's better health, children can go to the school, but also as a part of this, it can be, what shall we do with all the garbage? What shall we do with the plastic? We know that, what shall we do with the mud? There is building up layer by layer of muds on the shores in the lakes. And the fisherman is telling that when these pads of water hyacinth is sinking, they are also the plastic is sinking to the bottom. And one told us that the fish from Lake Victoria is banned in the European market because of the microplastic in the fish. So this is also dramatic for the people health around the lake, which are dependent on this fish. So it's I see only positive things to doing to manage to get enough fundings so we can start up this work, and then also start working with the pollution from the stools, from the plastic, from the agriculture, etc., etc.
Victoria, I'll give you a minute to tender in your submissions.
All right, thank you. Mike, I remember when I was in school very many years ago, position 1, 2, and 3 were awarded, they got some sort of recognition. They would be called in front of the assembly and recognized. So incentivizing is actually very important. Getting to single out those who are doing it the right way would actually encourage some other people or other organizations to also be part and parcel of the process, ensuring that youth, women, the community, inclusivity in coming up with some of these policies would also ensure that we get it right when it comes to pollution. Climate change, we are already facing water availability risks. So if we add that to pollution, then we are actually bringing about a lot of, there is no water security. So incentivizing would actually enhance compliance. Incentivizing would make youth to be part and parcel of this process willingly. It would make the community to be part and parcel willingly. But also when we are talking about involving the community, we need to incentivize in a way that the community, in a way that feeds to what the community needs, Incentivizing probably with a water tank, whereas the community needed something else, sanitation facilities would not do it. So let us have an inclusive approach whereby we involve all these players. Then we would get incentivizing as a way of pollution control within the lake region, right? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Firog, your closing words.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Can I add something to what Victoria said now?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Thank you. One of our partners is an organization called WISE, Women in Sustainable Enterprises. That's a Kisumu located led by Odera. They are doing a lot of good things for youth. And one of the things is that the network with between 150 and 200 women in Siaya and in Homa Bay, which are making harvesting water hyacinth and making handicrafts, beautiful handicraft from water hyacinth, and that's a good thing. But they are using all this, and it's a limited need for flip-flops and furnitures. So what we are offering is to making products which there is a limitless need for, because if there is a limitless need for a product made from water hyacinth, then we also can organize limitless harvesting. So that is also important is in these plans that we are not needed to stop harvesting water hyacinth because no one is buying our products, because there will always be need for organic fertilizer, for animal feed, and for clean energy.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Gunnar Firhog, who is the chair and initiator of Lake Victoria Green Initiative, and also Victoria Adwet, who is the speaker of Kisumu Youth Wash Parliament, joining us on Good Morning Kenya to talk about incentivizing the fight against